person in your family. Of the five of us Bermans, I am actually the most serious. I don't have the slapstick old-timer joking style of my dad. I don't have the quick and natural wit of my brother. I don't have the quiet and surprisingly disarming humor of my sister. I don't have the unfathomable ability to laugh at everyone and everything my father says over and over again, like my mother. Even my roommates over the years, as well as my husband, are so much funnier than me. But I do find myself telling my kids the jokes of my grandfather and my father, at least trying to seem a little funny. What I can see, though, is the impact of your humor and good nature on my kids, and I thank you for that. There is hope for them not to emulate their serious mother and to embrace the silliness, raucous, laugh out loud, outrageousness of their Zadie. So with that, happy birthday, Dad.
So, Stan Berman. Yeah. 75 years old and still goofy. A man with millions.
Can you make this in English?
This is from me. So, a man with millions of jokes and stories. But it really is only 10 stories that you repeat over and over. And as you know, these stories are not funny or inspiring at all. At age 75, all his five senses still work, except for his hearing. What? Which functions selectively. The voice Stan hears all the time is Karen's voice. If Karen says to Stan, come here, sit, or take a shower right now, that is precisely what happens. Stan is a good-hearted man, only if his mind points him in the right direction. A very happy birthday to you and many, many more, Stan. Happy birthday.
Our birthday that we went to in LA, your sister presented a belly dance.
That's my cute.
We also will read a few comments from some friends and family who couldn't be here today. Ira,
From who?
this one is from Virat.
Okay.
So
In English, please.
When we were kids, my parents we became a host family to a student from Brandeis who was from Nepal. I think it was first grade for me, which means when Bob and Julie were younger. So we were very, very young when this college man from another country came to our house on weekends and holidays. We didn't know anyone in Boston and went to school here from another country. Through his college years and after, he was very much in touch with my family, especially my parents, and even 40 years later, is still, my parents attended their daughter's wedding, their daughter's everything. So he is now back in Nepal and probably wishes that he could be here and send some comments.
So this starts with happy birthday for Stan. Meet you on a dark September dawn when you rescued me from Logan. After figuring out that 10 cents is a dime, it was the beginning of my Berman time. The Brandeis foreign student was I. It took a while to get used to the U.S. of A. Made much easier by you, Karen, Sherry, Julie, and Bob, who were host family with the host long since strong. Fenway, McDonald's, American Sports, all were introduced to me by you. I still remember well that first Red Sox game when you took Bob and me to meet the Green Monster. My first Thanksgiving was at your dad's place. First bat mitzvah, first Jewish wedding. All were of your kids. Still can't believe my presumptuous telegram, but you replied with unconditional support. And Sama got her visa for us to come there after our wedding. You were there for my granddad's graduation, for Shivani's graduation in Savannah with Karen, for Shivani's and Brian's wedding in Houston, Ohio, along with Karen, Julie, and her kids. Your amazing humor is all pervasive, though you're firm when needed. You and Karen have seen me through some tough times, and I'm practicing your advice on how to be a grandfather. So happy 75, Stan. Your family wishes you the very best. Peace and happiness on the spacious day always. With love and high regards. Virat, Sama, Shivani, Brian, Savannah, Kathmanda, and Nepali. Happy birthday.
I'm going to read a few words from Stan and Gloria Schwartz, who are longtime friends and are in Florida.
Use the microphone.
Do we start again from the beginning?
Surprise!
Anyway, I'm going to start, and then when the microphone's out.
You gotta do that. Yeah. Test, check 1, 2, check.
Best wishes to you on your 75th birthday. I'm glad this is in the form of an email, otherwise you'd accuse me of sending you a birthday card I had left over from the cards I was sent when I was selling insurance. You, Stan, are a conglomeration of many factors. You're a Pied Piper, a collector of people and things, and of course a teller of stories and jokes. Do you recall many years ago that you saw a beautiful photo of a pelican taken by our nephew Barry? Somehow it clicked with you, and so began your collection of anything pelican. Pelican statues, figurines, photos, and all kinds of pelican memorabilia that you've collected over the years. As a Super Bowl guru and chef extraordinaire, you are the champion. Your Super Bowl parties are well known and fondly anticipated. We never knew what foolishness you'll determine we bet on, but we all knew it would be different. Remember how you accused Stan S. of being the master of overkill? Just because I brought 2 huge jars of mustard and relish, which you've been serving at your Super Bowl parties for the last 14 years. You are a dear friend. You truly care about people. Your kindness spilled over to the families of your friends. Gloria's mom used to look forward to your unexpected visits to see her at the assisted living home when you were making calls in the New Bedford area. It was one of the many events that brightened up her life. Who loves to drive and meet new people as much as you? So nobody is surprised to learn that you took a post-retirement job a few afternoons a week driving for Mercedes-Benz, bringing customers to and from the dealership. Your world revolves around Karen, your children, and especially your grandchildren, all of whom have learned how to deal with your shtick on a daily basis. In spite of you, we've witnessed their growth and development into caring, responsible, and lovely human beings over the years. You are always available and ready to bring us up to date in case we might have missed something. We're sorry we can't be in Framingham to be with you at this celebration, but the difference in temperature between Framingham and Point Beach is too great to take a chance. So we wish you all of those good things we ask for ourselves and send you much love, hugs, and kisses from your old friends, the Schwartzes. That's all we've been given.
All right, everybody, next I'm going to bring up my children, whatever their names are, Mel and Josh.
Hi, I'm Melanie. And I'm John. As you know, we're the kids of Lisa and Bob, which makes us the grandchildren of Stan and Kevin. So we're going to tell you all about our top 10 favorite things about our Zadie. Number 10, this is mac and cheese pizza.
Mac and cheese pizza.
Years ago, Zadie was watching the Food Network and saw some sort of mac and cheese pizza being made. He made it, and let me say, it is delicious. Number 9 is Guy Fieri. Whenever we go out for Chinese food, there's a 99.9% chance of us ordering it. He introduced it to us, and we'll never say no to it. Number 8 is that he always makes sure to have one-on-one time with each grandchild. Whether it's a trip to the beach or a trip to go and see a plane take off and maybe even ride it. He always makes sure to take us out. Number 7 is his love of the Red Sox. He especially loves the spring training stuff. And he always goes to see it. Well, most of the time. But number 6 is his conga line abilities.
Conga line abilities.
At my bat mitzvah, he started a conga line, and let me say, it was like the hit of the party. Everyone was talking about it for like months afterwards. It was pretty fun. Number 5 is his kindness. Whenever we need someone to talk to, he is always there for us. No matter what time of day, just as long as he's not sleeping, because he is the hardest person to wake up. Number 4 is his obsession with creating planes. No matter what time of year, there's always a new plane being built. Name a new type of plane, and he has probably built it at some point. Number 3 is his stories. Whenever we are sleeping at their house, we get a story from him. It can be about anything, and no one ever hears the same story twice.
It's true. I've never heard the banana split story again.
Number 2 is his humor. Our all-time favorite Zadie joke is this one, which I'm going to tell right now. So, two Jewish men walk into a Chinese restaurant, and they're talking, and they say to each other, "I wonder if there are any Chinese Jews." And so the waiter comes, and they say, "Do you guys know if there are any Chinese Jews?" And the waiter says, "I'll go check." And he goes back, and then he comes back and he says, "No, we have apple juice and orange juice, but there's no Chinese juice." You guys get it?
Yeah. Chinese juice.
It's pretty funny. Now it is time for our all-time favorite thing about Zadie. I'm really excited for this. Drum roll, please. Number 1 is our love for him and his love for us. We love you, Zadie. No one can ever replace you. Love, Mel, and Josh.
Okay. Let's hear it for Karen, because she has to clap
Okay, can I be heard?
Oh, yes.
This comes from Brian and Darcy. My husband, Brian K. McLaughlin, first met Stan Berman at Foreign Motors West, now Herb Chambers, Natick Mercedes-Benz. He spoke often and fondly of Stan, and they would trade stories and laugh together on the phone and at work. When Brian became unable to work, he was lonely and confined at home, but not for long. Stan called, visited, and made Brian laugh. He brought light into Brian's life. When Brian was hospitalized, Stan visited and encouraged him. When Brian had to go to Brigham and Women's, Stan took him. Always Stan's phone calls and visits put a smile on Brian's face. So we admire Stan Berman for his capacity for kindness, friendship, and recognizing the needs of others. If Stan is your friend, you are truly blessed. Happy 75th birthday, Stan. Love, Darcy and Brian. That one was serious. This is a little. Who is Stan Berman? One of his elementary school teachers described him best when she said, "Stan enjoys life and wants the world to know it." In actuality, you all know a part of who he is. He's a loving husband, father, Zadie, uncle, nephew, cousin, friend, and co-worker. You each know a part of him. However, I know the sum total. I get the whole package. I win the prize. I get the bonanza. I get the intellectual genius who can sit right next to me and not have any clue what I'm doing on my iPad. I get the deep thinker and the theorist who is convinced Anwar Sadat is still alive. I get the sports enthusiast who loves to spar with his Uncle Norman about anything Boston Philly sports related. I get the airplane model maker who, thanks to his friend David Stoll, will soon ensure that we need a larger home to house his airplanes. I get the person who loves his family and can't wait to be with and do things with his grandchildren near and far. I get the optimist who is convinced that the Knobscott Shopping Center in Framingham is going to be rejuvenated in our lifetime. I get the nice Jewish guy who joined an all-Catholic drum and bugle corps, and when I met one of the organizers, he couldn't wait to tell me that Stan is trying to convert the group. I get a partner in life with whom I have shared the ups and downs that go hand in hand with a marriage of 52 years. I get all that and so much more. Happy birthday, Stan.
All right, now we're going to bring up the man who I tried to bring up earlier, David Stoll. Watch your feet when you walk by the cords of it.
You should go up there and be like, so I guess there was an outstanding warrant.
I thought about it. I thought about having some
Rob, how many pages he has?
Behind the 70. Anything you say.
Stop resisting.
This is hard to follow in the mic.
This is hard to follow with these two and these three. Anyway, I've been a friend of Stan for a long time. My name is Dave Stoll. A long time ago, when I reached 75, I was anxious about that number. I am lucky, though I have a twin sister that could share my large birthday number with her. Simply, I could be 35, and your sister could be 40. Heads up. Right? Together we end up at 75. Really, though, she is older than me by 5 minutes. Stan, we are getting on in years, which can be a blessing, and in most cases. We have things in common. Hobbies and pizza with anchovies. Each of us has a wonderful wife and companion for all these years. You have 3 children and 6 grandchildren. And the nachas they bring. Nachas is love. Good luck. Okay. Stan, your blessing.
Joy.
Joy. Stan, you are a great storyteller, and now you have become a professional writer. That's for those guys back there. As the years have gone by, we have been working less and finding other enjoyable activities. I've been doing carving and making things like ships and other models from scratch. And Stan has always asked, what is scratch? Cindy, can you pass that down? So, Stan, now you can make your stuff from scratch, and here's a bag of scratch for you. No. Does anybody know what scratch is? No. Scratch is really your creative imagination. It may or may not be yours. Scratch is usually built. Stan's been building this off the cuff. Stan's been building model airplanes. I've been building ships and other stuff. And I can't see. I don't know by models. Usually building from scratch from nothing. So use your imagination. You found that you have a talent to create and design model airplanes. You have joined the ranks of those men with their magnificent machines, flying machines. I am sure your creative mind that you develop will lead you to bigger and better things. I think you can go further on an airplane than I can go on a ship. I built a ship called USS Constitution. Another highlight is given to us is being the only 20-minute president of Temple America. I am sure that he would love to tell you that story.
He already has.
The reason is even a plaque on the wall, on all the presidents saying Stan Brennan. 20 minutes. It sounds funny, but it's true. And Stan, please enjoy this time in our lives. We have a lot to be thankful for. Cindy and I wish you a very happy birthday.
Amanda and Harrison.
Actually, I know what I would say if I'm forced to go.
It's fine, I'll just say.
Okay, just stand. You love parties and super fun, and now your party has begun. To celebrate your 75th year, family and friends have come from far and near. This is a tale of once upon a time, of our friendship during all this time. I sure hope I can make this rhyme. We met when we moved here years ago. We were all young and with kids on the go. The kids grew up and we grew older too. We were all so busy with much to do. Together we weathered what the years have brought, even when things were not what we sought. We hung together for the good and the bad. We were together when we were happy and when we were sad. Humor was often what we sought. We shared laughs when most people would not. Stanley and Karen may remember some of those times. When we had a burden or joy to share, we knew you guys were always there. You've been a loyal and kind friend from the start. All these memories are in my heart. This is what true friendship is about. To this I toast and give you a shout. Your family is the greatest, as we all can attest. With good health, with fun and joy, may you all be blessed.
That's a tough one to follow, but for that job, I'm going to bring up Norman. Ooh.
Can you guys hear me? I don't need the mic necessarily. Where was I? Oh, yeah.
Hey, you were the one that asked for the mic.
He remembers everything. Hello, I'm Norman Finkel. I'm Stan's uncle from Philadelphia. I'm delighted to be here. My wife Edie, the children, the grandchildren, everybody from Wilmington and Philadelphia and so forth and so on. But I'm particularly delighted to be here to toast and roast Stanley. It's rare that Stan will be silent for at least a half an hour. But this is the occasion for him to grin and bear it. How did Stan get to be my nephew, you ask? You did ask him. Well, he came with my marriage to his Aunt E. Berman some 57 plus years ago in Revere, Mass. He was 15 years old at the time and a drummer in the Revere High School band. Stan was part of the marriage ketubah, the contract that I signed. There was no way to get out of it. I couldn't say no if I would marry Edie. Oh well, we all make sacrifices. Little did I know at the time that someday Stan would morph into my daily email companion. There are people who sit around all day, and I imagine making up jokes and anecdotes and creating cartoons and gathering bits and pieces of information for forwarding, whether you want to know who invented the tea bag or not. Stan is not one of them. He is, as many of you probably know, addicted to forwarding all that crap, all that stuff, including an occasional philosophical comment about life as he looks back on 75 years. I appreciate the endless stream of whatever that he emails me. I do wish he would use spell check occasionally, though instead of admonishing me about it. It's easy to toast Stan and tough to roast him. The best I can do is tease him because he's such a good guy. However, there is much to tease about him, so he's not going to escape being somewhat roasted. As for toasting him, he's the proverbial guy who would indeed give you the shirt off his back. Of course, it would be 2 sizes too big for you. That's for my daughter-in-law, Karen. I thought it was a good line. But the gesture is well meant. Stan does possess a rare gift that's been noted. He's a social phenom, reaching out to people and making friends wherever he goes. He has friends all over the U.S., including Hawaii. That's somebody who wanted to escape him, but that's a different story. And in some foreign countries as well. People like him. You all know Stan as a devoted husband, father, and Zadie. He was, let me comment about Stan as a Zadie. At 15, he didn't know it, but he was born to be a Zeta. As let's see now, I'm trying to read what I wrote here. As his 80, he loves participating in the lives of his grandchildren, sharing experiences with them, bringing them into his world when it's appropriate, and tailoring what he does with each of them to their interests and needs, building model planes, doing crosswords, playing chess, going to Red Sox games, and so on. And that way he cements his relationship with his grandchildren and meets his own needs. This is deathless prose, you know. You're about to write. I must add, however, that Stan sometimes gets carried away by his enthusiasms, and it shows in Stan the father and now Stan the Zeta. An example is Stan the obsessed Red Sox fan. Who else would wear that? If I dotter a little bit, it's because I'm 85. Where was I? Okay. Becoming a Red Sox fan goes back to when he was a child at his mother's knee. Bertha was an avid Red Sox fan and listened to the Red Sox practically every day on the radio. Thus were born the seeds of Red Sox obsession in Stan, which he passed on to his children and grandchildren. Not only does he take his kids and now his grandchildren to many a Red Sox game over the years, but who else would take his children and now his grandchildren to see the Red Sox equipment truck as it departs in Fenway Park in Boston for spring training in Florida? He was planning to do so again this year. You gotta be something of a fruitcake to do that in midwinter in Boston with over 12 inches of snow on the ground.
Wow.
Yeah, I wrote this a month ago. The secret rumor that Stan blesses the equipment truck before it leaves Boston. God forbid the truck should break down. Stan might even decide to sit shiver for it. Now that's obsession. Now we all know Stan for being a fun-loving guy. That's why Edie and I, when we saw Boston TV footage of guys in shorts and bare-chested, except for one girl, jumping from second-story floors or from the roofs of cars into snowbanks. We immediately looked for Stan to be one of them. Though Stan might have been tempted, after all, his Zadie was a member of the Polar Bear Club and jumped with others into the icy waters off South Boston in midwinter. So both the heredity and the history and the stupidity is there. But thank goodness, sanity prevailed and he didn't give in to the temptation to throw himself into a snowbank from the deck of 63 Appledore Road. But before we declare him sound of mind, we have to consider that obsession with pelicans. For a time, infected Stan, and he spread his infection to Karen, who humored him and went along with him. After all, she's married to him. Not sure where the pelican obsession came from, but for a while, Stan and Karen collected all sorts of objects of the pelican. On a birthday or wedding anniversary, you could, let's see what I've got here. You couldn't go wrong by giving them a pelican sculpture, painting, or a pelican whatever. Thank goodness the vermin pelican era is over. Like great art, they considered opening a pelican museum. But Stan, obsessing over pelicans, left me shaking my head. Let's see. Even wonderful couples like Stan and Karen can go nuts occasionally. Oh well, people collect stamps, coins, baseball cards, comic books, and so on and so forth, so why not pelicans? It would have been a first. Anyway, still one wonders. There's no direct relationship between an obsession with pelicans and the temptation to throw oneself into a snowbank. But in Stan's case, that might not be so. I cannot let this occasion go without reference to the New England Patriots 2015 Super Bowl victory. Although those of you who might be tempted to storm me in the next few remarks, big loyal Patriot fans, I'm taking my life in my hand and will read the rest of it.
Turn the microphone on.
I think it's already up.
Let's see where I am. Stan, though not a particularly avid football fan, not like a Red Sox fan, is a fan of all sports teams with Boston or New England in their names. Like all of you, glued, well, you know what you were glued to, the TV set. Down. Stan was rightfully proud of the Pats' victory and let me know it in no uncertain terms. Again and again and again. Through a never-ending stream of emails. As a fan of the Eagles, a team that collapsed in the stretch run, I could only take it. Try as I might to shift the conversation to underinflated footballs and Coach Belichick's reputation regarding gaining an edge any which way he can. Alas, Stan defended Coach Belichick and all transgressions of the coach and whoever else might have committed in their quest for victories during the season and past seasons and in the future. After all, it won't be Stan shelling out the $500,000 the NFL imposes on wrongdoers. What's important is not that at all, but celebrating Stan's 75th birthday with him, and also celebrating with him the Patriots' win by presenting him with a symbol of the win. Where am I? Way on. There's a cover around here. So Stanley, I want you to have this. I got from a dollar store.
The dollar store.
Some of you Patriot fans might know that it's underinflated. What's important, though, is not whether the Pats won or lost. What's written on it is congratulations to the Patriots on their 2015 Super Bowl win. Yes, happy birthday, Stanley, and may your emails keep coming.
All right, well, good luck following that one up.
Share with you. Stanley and I have bets over the years on sports events. He owes me 22 2.5-pound lobster. Will he ever collect? Will I ever collect? Never.
Thank you. And now I want to bring up, almost, David, Lauren, and Robin. I think Robin.
Are we going up?
Yeah, please.
You go up, I'll go up after. I'll come up anyway.
I have a very extemporaneous speech that I just wrote on this tiny piece of paper, and I can't read my handwriting, but we'll give it a shot. So Stan is my cousin, and for many years it felt like he was my uncle. I think I attended the bar mitzvah in the womb. I don't quite remember it, but I do remember when Stan got his drum set, which was an amazing experience with his excitement and how much he played the drums. And of course the girls were not allowed to play with the drums, except when Stanley was out. Janet, Phyllis, and I would take the drum set apart and play with it all afternoon. It was so much fun. Stanley really represents for me the Berman family. I mean, he reminded me so much of my father. I thought my father for many years was a famous person because he knew everybody
wherever you went, he knew everybody. He knew the mayor, he knew the senators. He took me places where I was always meeting people. And if you didn't know somebody, he made a point of knowing them. So for me, Stan was quite a bit older than I was, and sort of when I began to understand things, Karen was always in the picture. And I really appreciate Stan's perseverance. He had to chase Karen. There was a lot of resistance from her family. And she got sent to Israel for a whole year. But he stayed steady because he knew how wonderful. Karen and I had the same birthday, not the same year, but I knew she was right because of that birthday. And you guys are such a team. I mean, you're really a model for how to be a couple and how to be loving and how to have a family. And certainly it's not perfect, but it's very interesting. And Bobby's house was very interesting. And Stan and Karen have replicated that in some ways by bringing in foreign students and bringing in friends and all sorts of people. Let's see. I appreciate all the time Stan has been there for me. He was there for me around my dad. And he's been there for me as a buddy. And he would come to my daughter's the show that she was in. And I really love you guys. I mean, you're kind of the core of the family. Once our grandmother died, she would have Friday night dinners every Friday night. We went to dinner at Bobby's house. And you really have held on to that with family events. And included not only me, I mean, my own family, but also my Irish husband and my lovely daughter. I really appreciate how you welcomed them. It was a time when my father was very sick and my mother was very stressed when I married David, and although there weren't many people that were kind of supporting us around the wedding and stuff like that. I'll stop in a minute. Stan and Karen had a lovely, what is that called, that pre-wedding party? Engagement party with the big gifts, and it was 150 degrees, and it encouraged them to buy air conditioning. Anyways, and David, you want to say something? Okay.
So anyway, all this talk of Stan's sense of humor and jokes and everything, one of my first memories of Stan is being, invited over for Passover, and Lauren told me that it's very solemn, and having grown up Catholic, in church and everything was very. So I was kind of scared, and I was a little worried to get there, and we were a little bit late. Everybody sort of bowed over there, over the table, and and praying, I guess. And then Stanley, at the end of the table, stood up, and everyone, raised up, and then Sherry and Julian and Bob came over and ceremoniously put his prayer shawl over his shoulders. Karen came in and brought in the Torah. Stan opened it and began to read. My Hebrew fluency isn't that good. And everybody was all. I didn't know what to do. So then Stan started davening, which I didn't know what was going on then. I'd never seen that before, so it was just quite an experience for me. I was completely moved by the experience of Stan's. Perhaps I'm misremembering. Perhaps that was my fear. But actually, Passover was so inclusive and funny. And, the main thing that I remember about the Passovers that I've been to every year is that no one is on the same page. Most of the time, time is, what page are we on? What page are we on? Exactly, in the front.
Can we eat yet?
It's always funny, and then the food is always fabulous. Yeah. So Stan, thank you, and Karen, thank you for including me in the family. Very, you know. So happy birthday, Stan.
I just learned something. I didn't know you were Irish.
Give me my face.
Okay, I'll say something briefly. No, there's so many people, but okay, you can hear me though, right? I have a very loud voice. So those are my parents. So I had a very interesting childhood. But I just say briefly, Stan is my honorary uncle, which happened at my bat mitzvah, which was more of like just a bunch of teenagers singing "Where's the Love." Anyone who's there, a little less traditional. But thank you for coming. Sorry you had to come so far but it was quick, nice and quick. Just yeah. Okay, so he's my uncle, and it's been just wonderful to be in his home and Karen, and it's just been so loving, and all those memories of Passover every year feels like it gets shorter to eat something. And just I always remember about Stanley is it's like he's on the phone with my mom or my dad or someone, and they're like, "Oh, Stanley's on the phone. Robin, do you want us to say hi?" And I'm like, "Oh, sure. Let me just make sure I have an hour." But I love those phone conversations. They're so wonderful. And yeah, just also all the wisdom and jokes. I'll never forget the one that I always share with people, which is when does your clothes become your laundry, and then back from your laundry to your clothes. It's really a debate that people have wondered for years. Happy 75th. Oh, and my grandmother couldn't be here today because she has a cold, and she was worried she would give people germs, which is very considerate. But I asked her just before coming in if she had anything she wanted to say. And she said, "Happy birthday." And she couldn't be put on the spot, but she loves you and is sad that she couldn't be here today.
She's great.
Paul Cantor
It's an experience.
Good afternoon, I'm Paul Cantor, a 40-year plus friend of Stan and Karen. The mic's behind.
Hello. And I'm Paul Cantor, Framingham. Been friends with the Bermans for how many years?
20.
40? They've been very, very exciting and interesting years from the time that we built a float to take from Framingham to march in a CJP event in Boston.
It was a 25th anniversary of Israel.
That's right. And the float, well, it was off kilter. We went down Route 30 to Route 9 to downtown Boston, and it was the most dangerous event that I've ever taken. I came home and I literally passed out. But Stan gave me the largest compliment of my life, and that was that at a birthday party of mine, I think it was 50, maybe 60 years old, he gave a little speech, and in that speech he said, "I envy Paul with his talent in talking to women." Stan and I share a love for the Red Sox, and we've been to many games together, and Stan said, when you're with Paul and you're at a Red Sox game and you're sitting next to a woman, he knows more about that woman than her husband knows after 2 hours of the ball game than her husband knows for 40 years of marriage. The greatest compliment of my life, and I still think highly of it. I love Stanley. He's a dear, dear friend, and I'm honored, and it only is to be part of this tremendous event. Stan, happy birthday. I love you.
is a tribute to my dear friends, the Bermans, Karen and Stan, who took new strangers who came to Framingham and made them their own. We are so blessed to know you and to be part of your life, and to know your children and your grandchildren, and to be part of their lives as well. So God bless you both. You are such special people. Thank you.
Are you singing? I don't want to stop you from singing there, Paul.
You want to stop it?
I'll stop it. All right. I'm ready.
Okay, we have one last person before we bring up Stan. But this is a very special one, so make sure you get your cameras ready for this one.
So I'm Dawn Harkness, and I am a friend of Stan's and Karen's and the entire Berman family. I didn't get to meet them as family as the rest of you did. I got to meet them through politics. And if any of you, I know if you know Stan, you know how much he loves politics. But when I met Stan, he could frequently be found. I brought some visual aids here. This was common. I met Stan while he was standing out on a corner holding a sign. And Stan would generally, this is actually one of my campaigns, you would always find Stan with a pretty woman somewhere, waving, holding a sign. Yes, here is with my daughter. But if we didn't have Karen there on a visibility, you could always count on Stan to sit out there in the cold, in the freezing cold, in the hot, 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 standing there, smiling, looking like he's saying, let's, vote for my candidate, when he's really saying, get off your asses and vote. And that's how I got to know him, standing hours and hours and hours outside. And that's what you do, you talk. And one of the things you all know about Stan is he's quite the jokester. Well, actually, this is Stan. This is Stan. He's sitting in the back of my ambulance with, again, 3 women. He was always surrounding himself with the women. It's something Stan and I have in common. We both love the women. So you really wonder, how does a radical lesbian attorney and a nice Jewish grandpa bond so much? And it's really over our equally body sense of humor. And that's one of the things I heard, and I know you've gotten a lot of those forwards too. And I was going through a lot of old jokes that Stan sent me over the years. And I really couldn't read most of them. Most of them are not fit, and even some of them are a little on the edge, but if you know Stan, you've probably heard them. But, some of them would be really cute. 2 hydrogen atoms walk into a bar. One says, I've lost my electron. The other one says, are you sure? The first one says, I'm positive.
Science joke.
He loves the 2 people walk into a bar. This one was a dyslexic man walks into a bra. Maybe you have to read it. 2 cannibals are eating a clown. One says, does this taste funny to you? Anyway, so those are the nice ones. I mean, I have reams of them. Forests could be wiped out with the amount of emails of jokes that I get from Stan. But really, we also talked about a lot of things that are generally not considered to be appropriate conversation. We talked about sex, religion, politics, laws, and Stan hit the trifecta, in my opinion, when he sent me this one.
Oh boy.
Careful.
I'm scared.
2 laws in the Bible were fulfilled on the same day. For those who haven't heard, Washington State passed 2 landmark laws, gay marriage and the legalization of marijuana. The fact that gay marriage and marijuana were legalized on the same day makes perfect biblical sense, because Leviticus says, if a man lies with another man, they should be stoned. So I really always saw him stand and look like a dog. And I tell him that all the time, you're a dog, you're a dog. Well, the last time I saw him, we were talking about my new business. business, and I started a Segway tour company in New London. I've gone from being a lesbian politician to being a goodwill ambassador on a Segway in New London, and we're having a great time with it. And Stan said, you know, someday I really got to get down there and take your tour. And in fact, he came down. He came down to New London. I almost forgot this part. He came down to New London, and on one day, my daughter, who's a filmmaker, was shooting a movie. And Stan calls and he says, I'm in New London, where are you? And I said, we're shooting a movie, where are you? We need extras. So Stan and Karen, I got a screenshot, and I did this because Stan's scene is so short that if I didn't print out a picture, you might not see that is Stan, right here, clapping and waving, and that's the kind of friend you like having. You know, friends that just call up and say, we're shooting a movie, will you step up? And they both did. They brought friends and extras. I don't know what we would have done on that scene if we didn't have you. But back to the Segway business. So Stan said the last time I saw him in last summer, I said, I would love to take that tour, but I'm really not so sure about, you know, doing the whole thing. But you know, I'd really like to stand on one. So Stan, give me a second. Come on up here a second.
Oh, no.
We're at the beginning. It's here. No, it's here. I got the cake. I was too excited. I know it. Come on. Somebody call me out of order.
Should I call him?
My apologies.
For those who don't know it, Don for many years owned a green ambulance. Why we don't know?
Green stem.
Why was it green? Oh, that's right too. She ran it on oil that she picked up from China's restaurant.
Stan, you're gonna learn a new trick today, you old dog. Come on up. Trust me on this one. All you need to he's behind you. Go up behind. You're gonna stand and just stand on it. That's all you have to do. Step up and stand.
Don't break a hip.
Right in the middle. All right, now I want you to just gently lean forward towards me. Gently. You're gonna turn around this way. Bob, get around over here. Hurry up.
Hey, watch out for the cake.
Come right at me. Next time we get you to come to take the whole tour, right? You're on. All right. There you go. Happy birthday,
I don't know how to connect it, but I need a minute to like.
All right. Thank you, Don. And take a seat again.
Is there like a...
You need a minute?
Yeah.
Like driving an S-Class.
While we're waiting for a little video presentation, would anyone else like to say anything? So we received some other emails, and there were things that I really couldn't talk about in front of all these people. But I do want to read you one thing, and I'm just going to show you the second piece of it because it really would not be appropriate. But you had a wonderful message from a very dear old friend, Mike Easterling, who wishes he could be here today, except this is right around the time that his son is getting back from Afghanistan, so he hopes you understand that he is not here. But what I can read to you from him is my coolest memory of SNB. Is that what he used to call you? Or just was when we met at a GE barbecue. It was my first time eating lobster, and he showed me the Burman fashion on how to eat it. He also let me know that bacon was really red chicken. And we must have eaten at every Chinese restaurant around Route 128. Stan also showed me how to stand up for yourself to management. He refused to handle all the Jewish wholesalers in the territory, and they relented. Of course, there are the Bill Whitmore and Whitman stories, and Doug Cover. They were really a couple of dumbasses. So, and that's what I can read to you. Imagine what I can read to you. So, happy birthday to my special friend of 45 years. And one more from another very dear friend who I know wishes he could be here, Bill Moscarelli. Dear Stan, unfortunately Mary and I are away and cannot attend your 75th birthday celebrations. Where are they? Any place exciting? Florida. That's not exciting. Please know that upon my return, I'll be launching a website called the Stan Berman Library of Old Jokes. Items to be included need only be old. There will be no criteria for jokes being short or long, Jewish or Gentile, polite or offensive, nor even funny or unfunny. The sole requirement, being the characteristic of your material that we have endured in the past, is that all jokes must be old. Inclusion shall be automatic for jokes that originated in burlesque and vaudeville before World War II. Previously told on the Ed Sullivan Show or by our parents, uncles or aunts, and other members of the greatest generation. We look forward to your help in launching this invaluable cultural resource by contributing the thousands of your such items that we have enjoyed over the years. Regrettably, we are unable to financially compensate you for your priceless collection, but our homepage will express our indebtedness to you for providing decades of laughs and lots of love. Mary and I wish you the best of health far beyond your 75th year. Good luck, Bill. All right, now if everybody can turn their attention to the screen.